Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly live stream. Today we will talk about shapes. Today everything will be about shapes, shape design, and more about how you can learn to make good shapes, or what it means to make a good shape. And I want to talk about it today because I often get a request on yeah, can you give me a feedback? And when I give a feedback and I say you should work on the shapes, sometimes it is easier said than done, because shapes is really a topic for its own, and I think we could talk for hours about that. But instead of talking about it, I want to give everyone a great exercise which I believe really helps you to improve your shapes, and that's something everyone can do. Also, if you want to join today in terms of like drawing with me, you can go on the Discord of the Art Zone, and I posted in the Sharing is Caring section the Pinterest board. So my Pinterest board basically, and I have all the images, also the images we will use today here, they're on my Pinterest board. So just go on the Art Zone button and then click on the link on the Pinterest board and just get the images. And yeah, today I want to show you the method I personally use to learn shapes. So shapes is something which really fascinates me because it can be super sufficient and tactile and elegant and complicated and fun and exciting all at the same time. So what does it mean to make a great shape? So we will talk about that today. But the best way really to learn a good shape is just to go on Pinterest or go on Google and look for images which you find visually interesting. And you don't necessarily need to know what it is that you find interesting. Just stop when you look through images and you stop at a certain moment and you look at something like, okay, I like that. You don't need the reason for it, just save it. And what you do, you basically fill a whole PSD, or you can use PureRefs or whatever. You fill a whole file just with these images for yourself, which you find visually interesting. And the more abstract, actually, the better, because you will see that these all have something in common, which is great shapes or great shape design. And when we talk about shapes, we not only talk about interior shapes, we also talk about the overall silhouette. And you can take as much images as you like, and then put them all into one file. And what are we going to do? Surprise, surprise, we're going to draw them. Okay? And while we are drawing them, I will also explain everything behind, so we can do it together. And also, if you watch the stream later here, you can always come back to the video and do it again. Yeah, so I'm excited, I'm pumped, or in German I would say ich hab Bock. So let's go, let's do it, and let's jump into that. Hey Drawing Cam, welcome to the stream, and welcome everyone else. Let's get going. So let's start with the first one. Let's start with this one. This is good. I like that. Okay. So how do we break that down? So at first, what I always look at is the silhouette. Yeah, and when I say silhouette, I mean this. I will just draw about the outline here. Just talking about basically the outline of the image. And when you look at your reference image in the beginning, really take a closer look on how the silhouette is built and where do you actually have interesting, let me do the, wow, okay. So now when you look at your image, I want you to really take a closer look at the silhouette. And when you do that, I want you first start with the outline, so to speak, the silhouette, the outer shape, so to speak. And when we dissect it, like take that, we're going to see that we're going to have something like a more passive side, and we're going to have more of a active side. So what does that mean? Passive means there is not actually much happening. So the eye is basically going around here, following this line, following. Then we have little bumps here, but it's still going, still flowing. Then we have a very sharp point where the eye is stopping, okay? And it continues, and then comes a little bump, and the eye is still flowing, going around, comes here, and now what is actually happening? Now we have a lot of stuff happen, right? It's like you would turn off the radio and you would look for some sort of frequency, and what we want to find out is what is actually the frequency of the shape. So that's the first thing you have to take a look at. Look at the active side and the passive side, and I want to say in a lot of, or most of the image, or most of the silhouettes, you always have a active side and a more passive side. Of course, there will probably images or things that will not be totally active and passive. Sometimes it's super, you have like a very even sides on both sides, so to speak. So you really try to figure out, okay, what is interesting, but how can we use this now for ourselves is the question, right? Like, why do I need this information? Because if you want to draw something from imagination, when you want to design something, when you want to draw a face, when you want to draw a character, it is often the case that we draw things as we understand, or we try to figure things out. But what we're not doing, we don't focus on the sexy shape, the sexy, interesting things. And if you want to work in the entertainment industry, so when your job's going to be, I want to work in concept art, I want to work in a game studio, I want to work in movies, it is totally crucial that you learn this principle, that you understand what makes a interesting, good-looking, visually shape, and what is the understanding of it. All right, so that's the first step. We look at the outside of it. Then the next step is basically we look at the inside shapes. How is it broken? You know, like what type of shapes do we have? And we do not to completely like go into the totally understanding of everything. We just need to understand, okay, how are the shapes, and we can start understanding this just by drawing this stuff. All right. And I don't want to do it again here. I just want to quickly show. So what I'm looking at, I start to look at the biggest shapes, and again this shape and this shape. Let me take a different color. They are somehow similar, and the artist who made the sculpture, and I don't know the name of the artist. If you do, please write it in the comments below, because it's incredible. But the artist who made that took a delicate decision on how to design each shape he wants to show. And that's what you actually also need to do when you do your own drawing. So you basically need to go in there and figure out, okay, if I do something like a helmet, or if I do something like a shape, if it's just a cheekbone shape, how do I make this shape interesting? And we are back to this. We want to make not wobbly shapes. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do something which is not like, which is a little bit more like this, you know? This is something we don't want. This looks also not very interesting. the opposite would be if we, like the artist did, do a straight line, another straight line, and then on the opposite side we have some sort of curves. And now we have again more of a active side and a passive side. And this principle you can break down on everything. And it has to do with balance, with visual balance, with shape design. So deciding if I'm going for something which has more a base of a triangle, if we decide that we have something which has more a base of a circle, or something which is more square. Because every shape somehow is a combination of these basic shapes. And for this, I would always say, don't start too abstract with your shapes. Start with the base shapes, okay? Because if we take the square and then combine the square with the circle, for example, we can do something that the sculptor did here. We just combine that, and that's basically two straight lines, and then we have some sort of roundness here, right? This is a combination of these base shapes. And now we start to think about, where's the active side, where's the passive side? How can we make this shape more interesting? And that's what you always need to keep in mind. And it doesn't matter if you draw a tree, and trees are a great example, by the way. If you draw a tree with a tree trunk, I love drawing trees because the tree trunk usually has a huge shape. Like, you don't draw every little branch, you look for the big shape. The same for hair. When you draw a female with a lot of hair, you usually look not for every single hairline. What you're going to do is basically you look for the whole shape. But you're not just drawing the hair, like you don't do just like this, I draw a little bit of hair on top and here and here and here. No, what you want to do is you want to look for a nice, interesting shape. And you can break it down into the smallest things. And you can see it here on the sculpt. It could be eyebrows. It could be even the shape of the eyes. It's basically everything. Everything can be broken down into shape. And sometimes it also can mean that you take something which is almost a base shape, because the base shapes we talked about here are the strongest shapes we have, because they have the most clarity. Okay, so I just wanted to say that quickly because it's important that you understand this principle, that you understand what is a good shape. And I wouldn't even say like there's something which is a bad shape. I would just say it's not an effective shape, a shape which you should use to make something visually more interesting. All right, cool. So the exercise we are basically going to do, we are going to draw these beautiful reference images, and we keep the core principle I just talked about in mind, which is we want to draw the images, but we want to basically press the silhouettes or the crazy shapes in our head, in our visual library. So today is all about building up the visual library with interesting shapes. And the more you do that, the more you will learn and understand shapes. And next time you're going to draw a face, even if you draw a face from reference, you will look at the shapes and then you ask yourself, is this chin I just drew actually a good shape? Is this nose a good shape? Are the eyes a great shape? All right, so that's what we're going to do now. Hey everyone, hey Baymok, hey Joker, welcome to the stream. Hey Ona, welcome to the stream. Hey Seiya, hey Alex. How have you been? Hope you're all doing great. Okay, let's go. I'm excited, I'm pumped, excited to learn today. So, and again, if you want to join on the art zone Discord, I shared the link in the Sharing Just Caring channel, and you can go there and check the link for the Pinterest board. You can grab the same reference as I did, or you can take your own. And always, like I said, I personally like the crazier the better. Hey Saeed, how's it going? The crazier the better. But it's really about understanding what is a good shape. The other principle which is really important when you do these drawings is because the problem is, let's say you want to draw this guy, okay? You see it and then you say, okay, I'm just drawing it. So I'm basically looking at it, copying it. Okay, here's the eye socket, here's the nose, etc., etc. But this is not what we want. What we want to do is we want to dissect the shapes. But how do we do that? It's not that easy, right? So we go back to the principle we know as from gesture drawing. And I don't know if you have heard it, but in gesture drawing, there's a very simple principle, which is called CSI. I told my mentees about that 1,000 times. It's basically the simple principle of only using C-curve, S-curve, and straight lines for drawing something. And that's something I would recommend to you. So basically, what I want you to do when you do this exercise, I want you to make a decision for every single line. I want you to decide, okay, I'm going to draw this hair part now. And I want you to decide, okay, do I make a straight line? And now, do I make a curved line? Or do I make an S-curve line? And now I do a straight line again. And then I bring it in and want to complete the shape. And I want you to make really, really delicate decisions on your drawing, on your shapes you are going to do. Because then you start to understand, okay, what makes this shape? Why is this hair shape so interesting to me, to myself? That's why it's important that you look up for images you personally find interesting. And then also your style will crystallize out a little bit more. Because when you do that more and more and more, you will see, okay, I like more triangle shapes. I like more round shapes. You can see that in different artists. That's something which goes through their style as the decision making on what shapes they actually like. It's the same of ratios when it comes to drawing eyes, nose, etc., etc. So I would say I go a little bit lower on the talking now, and then we are going to draw, and we are making decisions on how do we draw these shapes. And really take your time, don't rush. I'm just rushing because I had too much coffee today. I'm talking very, very fast. But I want you to make decisions, and there's no need for this needs to be done fast, or there is a time limit. There is no time limit for that. Also, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. And if your drawing will look a little bit abstract at the end, that's actually pretty good. Hey Alexander, how's it going? You can also take basically different colors for every shape. But really try to draw every little plane, and we can even zoom in a little bit more here. Try and to draw every little thing you see, every little plane as a single shape, and only use straight C or S curve lines. And always ask yourself, do I have an active side and do I have a passive side while drawing the shape? It's also a very simple exercise, so it's not very complicated. But yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know so I can answer them right before you start. Also, sculpts are great for this because they usually have a lot of planes. only use straight lines here. Use another straight line. Alright, yeah, let's try it. Also, if you try it, please post it on the ArtStation. Art Zone. I always say ArtStation today. What's going on? On the Art Zone. So I can take a look at it. So everything you do, every little shape here, needs to be, and this is simple. Like the principle of the exercise is simple, but making it, you will see, can be very difficult as well. Depends also on what you draw, but we basically want to make sure that every little thing here, so when we give everything a number, we want that everything, every shape here basically has its own shape, okay? Because we can copy stuff, but if we just copy it blindly, it can happen that we maybe not really understand what is happening. Also, if you have too many small planes, try to figure out what are the big shapes first. Okay. I also have the tendency today to zoom in a bit too much. So what did you all do today? Did you work? Did you drew? I can say that I recorded another draw along session with me today, so I drew my sketchbook with ink, and I actually learned something today again, which I'm super happy about. And I hope I will have these type of learnings more and more and more. But now I want you to learn something, so go in and think about making sexy shapes, or basically, I don't want to say sophisticated, but try to make shapes which are well thought. You played way much Elden Ring? Oh, stop me telling about that game. I'm actually not addicted to Elden Ring. I haven't played it since we streamed it, I think. But it's so frustrating because yeah, I didn't play the Dark Souls games, and I'm such a noob in this game. I die way too fast, so I get frustrated very quickly. And when I play a game, I want endorphins. I wanna get lucky, happy feelings. So I don't want to get frustrated. And I actually killed the first boss, but it wasn't satisfying. It felt like an ugly kill, not like a good kill. So this one here, this part is actually interesting here, this round part. So it's interesting to make the decision here now. How do I want to make this shape here? Let's give it a straight line first. Also flip it in between, this also helps. That doesn't look too good. We need to... I don't like the shape here. So also the shadow is of course a shape, right? So first let's break it down. And I did that exercise really a lot. And what I learned, for example, was that I like strong cheekbones on faces. Because I also, when I drew faces from imagination, and that's also why it's important that you do that from time to time, I learned that I like strong cheekbone shapes because of the angle and strong triangle shape. Yeah, I also didn't play Bloodborne. Is it the same as Dark Souls? Seems like people like these type of games. I'm more the Skyrim player or Gothic 2 player. But I also need to say, like, I liked it when it's hard to kill the enemies. But what I don't like about Elden Ring is like it feels a bit the story, like this whole survival thing is a bit too much in the foreground, right? Like you always running around and try not to die, or like basically everything can kill you. So you basically focus, I'm just talking about me, but I focus too much on not dying rather than really have a connection to the story or something. Also, you don't have so much NPC interaction, and that's something I like more in other games. Feels just a little bit disconnected, but maybe that's just my impression. Okay, so again, back to this here. So you take your time with this. Really try to look at every little shape. Is it a single shape in itself? Also, when you start to design something and you use the principle big, medium, small, you will see that understanding what makes a good shape will immensely help you to design things. Because when you start to scale up things or scale down, you also see, okay, Should I give it more of a stronger, like a straighter line, a more curved line? Should it be more passive, more active? Do I want to have my visual interest on the side? Also helps if you want to do, for example, stylized characters, for example, or anything which is stylized, often comes down to good shape design. Because if you have not so good shapes, your design will suffer under it. Shapes are really important. Cast shadows I make completely black, but I also want to design the cast shadow shape. Yeah. This is an interesting shape. It's straight, but it also gets thinner, and that's what I want to look for. This isn't, for now, this is not a good shape, but we also haven't worked on it, so let's do this. Make sure that this whole thing here looks interesting. And it's just a simple cast shadow, right? But every little thing is totally crucial and important. Because there's something also which called negative shapes. And if your negative shapes are not so good, your positive shapes will also be not so nice. And yeah, I could understand if you would not like to make the exercise, because it maybe looks not so exciting, but it will really help you to improve your shapes. Often the things which are not so fun are the things which are helping the most. Like leg training or doing cardio in the gym. Hey, Burrito, how's it going? You can also take a easier reference. You don't need to take something which has so many different plane changes. Yeah, at the end, like, the harder it is, the more you will learn. And just really try to dissect it and start with the big shapes and then go into the small shapes. Right now I'm looking at this part here. This is a really sick shape. This looks like could be like a blade or something, like an Elden Ring weapon. I mean, the whole thing could be a boss, Elden Ring boss, something. It's a really strong shape. also that you have this angle and that it's not completely symmetrical. It makes it way more dynamic and way more interesting. Oh, you call a little sickness, that's not nice. I hope you get better soon. So take a rest maybe. Let's start with simplifying it first. Again, I would say if you have trouble that like you draw something or you design something, just try to make try to be conscious about decision making. So you decide in that moment, will I only use a straight line or will I only use a C straight line, C line, or an S line? So basically CSI. What will I use? And if you start with this, you already will improve your shapes. You will see, because if you have something in between these things, this is what most people do, but it's not their fault. It's just they not think about it too much. And I have the same thing. Sometimes you just draw and you don't think too much. You just want to draw, right? But how do we make sure that we make a interesting, good looking shape? By making decisions. So we want to make the decision of the shape. And sometimes you also don't need to go into all the little nitty shapes. You can also just do more of a simplistic version of it. But really try to look at it and flip it. And really try to make the decision of, okay, if I would break it down into, let's say, 10 shapes, 15 shapes, what would be the biggest or the most important shapes? And the good thing about the exercise, if you look at your drawing and you have the feeling it is not looking good, then it means that the shapes are not strong enough. So that's the indicator of either changing the shapes or pushing it a bit more, spending more time on it. And always think like it's the equivalent of asking what main shapes do my shapes have, right? And then also think about active side versus passive side. Any questions so far? Anyone trying this right now and has questions? Let me know. I think what is also important to mention is that you need to be confident in your stroke making or in your shapes. Because if you're not confident enough and you draw something, you maybe like this, that will be seen in your drawing. But when you do and that's actually the principle of this. It's confident strokes. Again, the abstract, the reference, the better. And what we could do, we could also give it a little bit more volume, just for fun. You know what? It's actually unnecessary, because I think we should focus more on finishing these first. Yeah, because I feel like the shapes are still not where I want to be. And you see that there is really no I realized something. I go too crazy with shadow shapes. The anatomy can look right and maybe values, but the shapes themselves get chaotic or too much like reference or stiff. Yeah, and that's really the hard part. You know, like there's the question, what is the difference between, let's say, a shape which is really more of the base shape of a square versus something which is maybe like this, right? Versus something which is maybe more like this, or if we go in a complete different direction, like what makes what shape interesting or good, right? That's the big question. So, and that's all these factors. It is about being confident, about the decision making on a straight line, a C curve line, an S curve line. It's about the active or the passive side of the shape, and it is really not easy to learn. I just want to say that, because shape design is something you learn over years. It is really something you learn over doing again. Yeah, Zach, and actually the Mike Mignola is a good, or comic artists in general are a great example. Like the super successful comic book artists, they draw certain shapes they really like, they really enjoy, they draw something again and again, right? They draw a face. Like, let's say they draw a face over and over and over. And they always draw the same eyes. And they always draw the same type of nose. And always draw the same type of beard. And this has different reasons. Because they like the shape, but also they feel it's a strong shape. It is a good looking shape. It's something which is appealing to look at. And people who have a really strong style, or people who have a really interesting style, that's also a great example. If you have someone, an artist you really dig, you really like, look at their drawings, look at their shapes, and ask yourself, do I like the shapes? And why is the shape good? What makes the shape good? And you will see that it is basically their decision making on being confident, on making certain lines, certain decision making in their strokes, and at the end it's the super simple principle. Like there is also like people who draw ears like this. I think sometimes Kim Young-ji also draw ears like this. So it's basically this straight line and then this curved line. It's basically ears which are a little bit out, you know, not these close to the head, which are basically folded out a little bit more. And this is an interesting shape. It's not looking ugly, it's an interesting shape, because you have the straight line and then this curved line. And it's really about the decision of making that, on deciding, okay, I like that shape, I want that shape for my drawing. And again, don't get me wrong, learning that is really, really hard. It can take years. Or like you basically will never stop trying to learn that. Because also maybe your taste will change. But the decision making on shapes is really up to you, on understanding that principle. And that what I want you to, I want you all to understand the principle of how do sexy shapes or good looking shape work. Or at least that you start to double ask yourself, because again, when you draw something for yourself, when you start to design, or you want to work in the entertainment industry as a concept artist, illustrator, whatever you're going to draw or paint or design, everything consists out of shapes. So it is super, super crucial that you learn a way and that you ask yourself, what shapes do I like? Okay? And you will see every little thing makes a shape. If it's the eyebrow, if it's the eye itself, can be a tree, can be a leaf, can be a plant, whatever. Okay, flip it again. See, do I like what I see? So I'm really like looking at the stuff, and again, if we give stuff numbers, you can like say you have shape number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, 7, etc, etc, etc. Look at them, ask yourself, is shape number 1 good? Is it solid? What is it contains of? Compare it to shape number 2. And what would happen if you draw a face or draw something while you just do straight lines or just curved lines? How would it look? And you see, for example, the sculpt has a lot of straight lines in itself. It has really a lot of straight lines and a lot of angled lines. It makes it very dynamic because it's very angled. And here I don't need to, what I can do also, I can add these little bumps here. So again, we are here to the hierarchy of shapes. So back to active and passive side. But we have this more of a stronger side here. But first, when you start with this exercise, really simplify as much as possible. Make the shadow shapes black. Make sure they are also solid. I still don't like this one here. When you see your drawing and you think it is not really a straight line or it is not really a C-curve line, it's something in between, then it's not a good shape. Or it is not there yet. Let's say it like this. Okay. So it's really more like, right now it's more like a graphical representation. But that's what we want. What you can also do if you're not really sure how well you did it, you can also use threshold. And probably most of you know already threshold. I just want to show it again. So I need to make a white background, I believe. So what you do, you take the image, then you go on in image adjustment and threshold. And then it basically separates all the white areas from the black areas here. So you move that a little bit until you get strong shadow shapes. And what we don't want all this here, all this little detail stuff in there. We want the strong shadow shapes. Like this, for example. Okay, and now I'm going to look at it and like, okay, where is it and where's my drawing? Like for example the mouth. I made the mouth a little bit different. We can adjust this. Often super small changes makes really a big difference. So we see that I went too fast into all the small shapes here. What basically tell myself next time I should focus more on the bigger shapes first, on the shadow shapes also, to make sure I nail them, and then I can go into the smaller shapes. It is also a very interesting part here. This looks like little steps, so to speak, but this also has to do with rhythm. And we talked about that, about the rhythm of stuff, like different shape combination, different stroke combination, different, like music, right? Not like the same tone all the time. We want different tones to create an interesting rhythm. And what is great about the exercise, it is really, you can't, it's not about making a pretty drawing. So let's say it like this. It's not about making a pretty drawing. You cannot fail that. It's really about focusing on shapes. So here, that's the part which bothers me. It's not confident enough. It should be more of a curve. And I realized that my shapes were super shitty when I started to learn character design line art. Like every time I cleaned up my line art, it looked horrible, and I was asking myself, why does my characters look so shitty? And it's like, I would say my main problem were shapes. I didn't really design shapes, I just drew things as I thought it would look, but I didn't take care about my shapes. And you really need to take care of your shapes. So okay. And for everyone who's here today, if you haven't pressed the thumbs up button, please do me a favor and do so. So this educational content get spread and shared to more people, so more people can learn from it. I highly appreciate it. So what we do also right now, we draw everything with a brush, right? So we draw stuff with the brush, which takes a lot of time. So what we can also do, we can use the Lasso tool. And the Lasso tool is just magic, because we can take the shape we think it is and make a super clean selection, fill it with black, and then we just erase the part. And it speeds up the process. But of course, it is up to you what you do. But it helps, of course, to make straight lines a bit faster. Okay, this looks much better than before. Only by double checking the shapes. And again, if you want to do this exercise and or you want to join it today, just check the link of the Pinterest board. Maybe let me share it in the chat. Awesome. Can I share it in the chat? we need to chat. There it is. Oh, I also would share it on the Twitch chat because I think people on Twitch don't have it then. Yes, for all the Twitch people. Boom. Okay. Wow, I look super bright on stream today. Is it because of this one here? Let me turn off. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, let's go over to the next one. Okay, so I would say let's go over to the next one. Okay, so I'll make this one green or blue. Let's keep this as notes here. Wow, this looks beautiful. Beautiful shape. Very, very interesting. And here we have less shapes inside. Here is it really more about the silhouette itself. And you can see that this looks so perfect because of its silhouette, but also about all the negative shape. Look how strong these negative shapes are. Again, we have the active side, we have the passive side, and we have very strong curves or very strong straight lines. And these are contrast shapes, contrast lines, so to speak. Any questions so far? Anyone? Okay. Okay, again, we look at the shapes, the decision making. Right, so we see we have a lot of curve lines, a lot of S lines. Then we have also this here, which is pretty cool. It goes up. It's basically two shapes meeting. And then they have this spiky point, so it's a little bit like the top of a round triangle, which makes it super dynamic looking, and the eye is flowing beautifully through the image because this is so well designed. And I wonder if that's a sculpture, a modern sculpture, or an artifact or something. That's the only thing. Sometimes you don't see that on Pinterest, but I also haven't looked. But this could be easily an artifact in a game or something, because it's so well designed. Let's make conscious decision on what type of lines we're going to use. We take a different brush. Yeah, that's better. You know what? Let's do the other way. Let's use the lasso tool this time. Let's work with silhouettes. So we really just look at the shape. Also, if you have trouble seeing the shapes or doing the shapes with lines, you can also use tones, no problem. Also, some people like doing the thumbnail drawings, characters for designs or for whatever they do, like it to do it with tone instead of doing with lines because they have trouble seeing the shapes, which is completely fine. Nothing wrong about that. Yeah. Wow, such a, like, while I'm doing it, I realize what a beautiful shape that is. So, of course, even this, like, if we just take this part, it's already such a great, well-designed shape. We could take this shape we just have here and make something out of that. A tool, or could be also architecture, could be some sort of hanging architecture, more fantasy setting. Be a weapon, whatever. What is more important, it's about the shape. Understanding how the shape is made, so it gets burned in our visual library. And I'm sorry if the stream is not so super exciting today, but this is a really important topic, I believe, and we just haven't spoke about it on the channel, so I just wanted to talk about it. Fun fact, I studied industrial design, but we never ever had a class on shape design. Well, no one talked with us about how to design an interesting shape. I had to learn this all by myself. So this is easy, we just need to look at the negative shape here. Try to nail the negative shape. Again, if you do look for images, sometimes the crazier, the better, the more challenging, so to speak. What you can also do, if you like to warm up with a exercise and you don't want to necessarily do copies, or before you start with it, you can just start to make shapes out of your imagination. So basically you start with just doing shapes, and you can either draw them or you just use a tone, and you basically try to make the shape confident, right? It's about being confident and about clear decision making. And then what you can do is, you can also start to say you want to draw faces inside of this, and you do some sort of abstract faces. So you basically start to fill the shape, and I think a lot of people notice that you basically start to draw faces inside these shapes, just as a warm-up, just as a starting point to get ready with your shapes. And then you do that while repeating the shape you use for the overall silhouette. And everything should be designed. Okay. Let's move these. No questions. Okay. So everything's clear. That's good. Good to know. Yeah. Also here you can, because I didn't say anything about it, just make it a brighter shape here and then draw inside. If you want to draw them, it also works. So it doesn't matter. And think about what type of shapes you did last time. You will see what stayed inside of your head, what is interesting. just use what we did before. Maybe it has some sort of double neck or whatever. It's a little bit chubbier. I think you get the idea. Okay. Engage. Hey Muri, how's it going? How are you doing? I hope you are better, healthier than last time. So we are trying to flow with everything. So let's flip it. And yeah, I think successful people with a successful style, or with something that has also a very unique visual standpoint, are basically people who have mastered the shapes they like. They use them to the fullest. So why not do that for yourself? Okay, so really try out the exercise. There are so many different ways to approach it. And yeah, it's maybe not an exciting thing, but I mean, basically every shape you do, and that would be the next step, if you can take the shape you studied or like try to understand and then make something completely different out of it. So I would take this here and I don't know, make some sort of architecture out of it, or spaceship, or I mean spaceships are actually very common because you can go super crazy with this, but it's a really fun approach. Actually, I just remember that when I was studying, we had one class with, I think it was an artist, like a classical artist. And he went out into the woods, and we had to take one object, and then we had to draw it and make something out of it, and design something out of it. And I think I took a bark, a tree, and I think I made a vehicle or something out of it. I cannot remember what it was. How's everyone doing? Chat is so quiet today. What's going on? Is everyone making that exercise? Then I'm happy. Then I didn't ask. What are you all doing? You're all playing Elden Ring, right? Where I'm working, making the hard work, and you're all playing Elden Ring right now. I know it. Oh, we already stream 1.5 hours? Oh, man, this goes fast today. Apex Legends. Never played that. Is it good? Is it good? It's a shooter, right? Dun, 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 dun. Hey Purple Hills, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. Janosch, can you tell something about the best steps to find a first job as a junior 2D artist in Germany? In Germany, I think I would say like obviously look out for the studios you want to work in. So look for the studios in Germany you want to apply for, and then try to master your your base skills. Like make sure that you have a portfolio which shows that you're understanding perspective, design, anatomy, and that you are basically able to create a product, because that's what you get hired for. You not get hired for making pretty drawings, or in the most case you get hired for making a product and to work also with other people. So you should be able to market yourself, but also you should basically show that you are able to start with an idea from scratch and then execute that idea into design and final rendering, final paintings. And the best is if you do that also with something that interests you personally, because it also tells a lot about you. So make a portfolio with 10 pieces, go always quality over quantity, and then try to also cater the portfolio to the studio, so that the studios could, if the studio does, for example, realistic sci-fi stuff, do realistic sci-fi stuff, portfolio pieces, or have at least a one or two pieces which are catered to sci-fi, and then approach the studios. And I would say don't approach the studios when the work is not done. Really finish the work first, so there is a base to speak about stuff. And then if you would be open to doing internships, also do internships. Because sometimes internships can be a entrance into a studio. But also to get an internship is really hard sometimes because there are so little capacities in studios. And then, yeah. Like the thing is, like if you write them an email and they do not reply or something, maybe try to go on conventions, because at conventions they also have booth or stands from the studios where recruiters are, and when they see you and they talk to you and you have a portfolio and they get a feeling for you as a person, that's really important. Then this already helps you to get in, because they also have inside informations. Hey Mike, how's it going? Hey Purple Hills, what's up? What? Better than CSGO? CSGO is the thing. I love CSGO. This is happening on Twitch and YouTube. It's a multi-stream, so you can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on Twitch as you like. You can follow on YouTube, you can follow on Twitch, of course. And definitely press the thumbs up button on YouTube to support this. Said destroying scorpions. That's great, Said. Keep on going. I'm doing good, Mike. How are you doing? Hey, Mental Break. How's it going? Da 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 da. Okay, how close are we to the shape? Looks pretty solid. Looks pretty solid. Thanks for the Twitch follow. Okay. So again, we are trying to double check, so to speak, what are the silhouette shapes and how are the negative shapes also looking. I think the negative shape, like the part here, the lower part, looks pretty good. And now we can basically go in there with the clipping mask and just try to see if there's anything to dissect these shapes a bit more. So we also work on the internal shapes. Burrito, how can you not like CSGO? Habit Monkey, thanks for the Twitch follow. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate you all. Alright, so let's go into the clipping mask. Of course, we can clean it up. Also, a little story here. Back then, when I started out, Murat, who's also here, always was mad with me if I did not do the blocking cleaned. So he was always like saying, dude, you didn't spend enough time to make a clean blocking. Which was so true, because I hated to do that and I was just lazy. But it's important to clean it up, because it also has to do with your readability of your shape. Stimmt's, Muri? Ist immer mit mir gemeckert, wenn ich nicht ordentlich geblockt habe. Also tomorrow comes a new video on the YouTube channel, another drawdown session. More stuff to watch. Okay, let's go inside then. Ja, mach jetzt den Strich. Dun, dun, dun. You're welcome, Alex. Do you feel like you've learned a lot from Brainstorm class you took? Yes and no. So the outcome was really good. I felt, for me personally, I was happy about the outcome, even though I couldn't really finish the second class, which was the character design class 2, to its fullest because I was so low on time. I would say, yeah, it was. I would wish I would had more time because of studio job and everything was just, and all the vlogging and everything was super push, like, yeah, it was super crunchy, and it would be cool to have the time really to spend 40 hours on the assignments per week. And I think I learned a lot of stuff, and I think, you know, also these days it is, if you can learn one little thing of a video of a class or whatever it is, it's already valuable, right? I mean, who says that you have to learn at least 50 things out of one class? Sometimes that's also like not, you don't know, because these classes are for a big variety of people with a big variety of already received knowledge. So it is really tricky to do that. But I would say in general, I learned at least 4 or 5 things, especially in the form language class. But I also learned a lot in the character design class. I learned a lot about like still, and it's funny because it's like basic principles, but sometimes you forget that about turning the character a little bit, showing a little bit more form, thinking more about 3-dimensional things. Also when it comes to design, thinking about the design on a character, clothing, wrapping. We did basic exercises I've done years ago, but if you do them again, it's like it sparks the idea and the principle of it again. So it was definitely worth it to take the class, to answer your question. Yeah, take definitely a fundamental class if you think you have the need of that. Totally do that. Yeah. Like, fundamental classes are always good. Okay, let's do something with, let's do it with shapes also. Okay. So now again we do the shadow shapes. Just look at it. Do it like this now. Look at the shapes, try to understand it. We will use the threshold method afterwards to double check how we made or how good we did it. Really look at every little thing, like trying to understand, okay, is it round, is it straight, is it curved? Oops. And then really make sure that you nail the shape. And the cool thing, let's say next time you want to do an environment, you can only use the Lasso tool and then try to make only good shapes. This will be super challenging for you, but you will see that this will automatically look much better. So you see, it is like even the inner shapes, they resemble the silhouette shape and they resemble the negative shape around that. So it's all connected. And the human brain is especially good in seeing patterns. So when you start to see the patterns in there of the shapes, then you level up. And you don't need to do that exercise every day. You can, like, I don't say don't. I would say to keep it fun, try to do it either as a warm-up or use the shapes you studied to do something completely different with it, or just do it from time to time. Because I think the focus always should be on learning new things and on making your own stuff rather than just copying endless stuff. Oh, I totally forgot the back leg here. Ay ay ay. Ay ay ay. There it is. Yeah, see, like it's a different experience for everyone, but Mike is right on the point that it is very motivational, because you meet also, if you an established artist or like a professional already, you meet people who are so hungry and they are still learning, and that really kicks the fire and makes you like, oh man, these youngsters come and they want to get into the industry and they're all hungry and they all have great ideas also, so it makes you like speed up with your stuff again. All the current portfolio stuff you have is outdated. Okay. What sport is best for artists? I don't know. Every sport? I would say just sport in general. Everything where you move is good, because we usually don't move so much. And everything that requires putting more oxygen into your brain, like running or like high intensity training, I think is also good for you to clear your head and everything. I usually go to the gym 4 to 5 times per week. So I lift weights and I also do a bit of boxing. And I run a lot in the gym. Or I run like in the morning in the park when it's a little bit warmer. But I think there's really like no right sport for artists. I have friends who like climbing, friends who like playing golf. I don't know what the other think. What is the chat doing in terms of sport? What sport are you doing? And don't say e-sport, burrito. Yeah. It's also funny, yeah, when I started going into the gym, I was 16, like no one was going into the gym out of my class or from my friends. It really established, got so the industry, this fitness industry got so big. Competitive sleeping, wow. And what's your skill level? What's your rank? Ciao Mike, have a good one. Saeed is running, How often do you run, Saeed? Oh, that's great, GTHBS. Like when you can motivate each other. Also when you can do that with your siblings, that's cool. Like when you not have to do it alone. I can only speak for myself. I actually like to train alone. Because I'm also I have a tunnel vision when I train. And this is also because of my time of playing American football. Everything had to be super efficient and quick and intensive also. So I really don't like talking while training still to that day. But it's cool if you can train together and motivate. Okay, let's see what the threshold method is saying about our shapes. I think we can do this a bit better here. This is not looking nice. This can be better. So we don't want to have edges, we want to have nice curves. Using the threshold method is really like a test. It's like seeing how did we understood what we saw. Okay, and we are looking at active, passive. This area, basically. Negative space. And the interesting thing also, we could basically take the negative space and try to make something out of that as well. Because like the negative spaces, because of the shape we have, it is so well designed that we could take this here and make whatever out of that. We can make a, I don't know, a house, a prop, a yeah, this could be totally be some sort of house or something. Let's do that maybe in a second. But first, let me double check here. So we have the negative space. Also, this is also here part of the negative space, of course. But also, what's important is that we decide and find out where is the active side, so where's all the big stuff happening, and where's more of a passive side. So obviously here we have a lot of stuff happening, a lot of little silhouette changes where the silhouette gets broken, and then we have more of a passive side here. Right, where basically the eye is following a form. So now we do the test. Again, you just take your image. I think I need to make a white layer below. I just do it like this. Now we do image adjustment and threshold again. Let's see. Now we try to make that we have best simplification for the shapes without all the detail. Like this looks pretty good. Now we compare it to what we've done. And we are not too far away. So what we can improve is, we can improve, like the decision of not going full force here with the shape was good. We didn't need to go so far here. Also, this is more round. And again, it's really not about making the perfect drawing, it's about understanding what are these shapes, what makes them interesting. I'm sorry if I repeated too much, but I just want to say it clear that you all understand it, or for everyone who watched the video later, that if you watch it now after the stream, first of all, my question is, why did you come to the stream? Okay, I totally don't understand that. And my second question would be, I hope you press the like button. And my third question would be, I hope you learned something from this. But yeah, it's not too far away. It's not far away, which is good. So that's, so to speak, our test. Okay, and now let's do something with it. So we could now take parts of the shape. So we could take just this part here, for example. And we could try to make something with it. Or we can take the whole negative part here. So where's my text? Here's the text. Cool. So this comes up here. And also, I just wanted to show you all the other references. Because I found really cool reference. Like this, I don't know what is that from. It looks like it could be from a game or something. Also here, like somehow I needed to think a lot about all the Elden Ring's villains. It's also so good. This guy, this, and where is it? These freaky sculpts here. Like, I just want to show you that because it's important that we at least talk about the shapes, about strong shapes. Like this here, for example, is very strong because it has very clear readability, very clear, strong shapes. And I want at least that you learn today that it's important to understand this, and it's important to be conscious about your own shapes. Look how beautiful this is. Like the sculptor who made it, heads up, it looks amazing. And yeah, the like decision of making like these little things here and then going full force with a big C curve. Or this one here, I love this one. This is such a great example of a shape, or shapes in general. It's asymmetrical. It has super strong shapes. It has round shapes, edgy shapes, active side, passive side. It's well balanced. So yeah. So how much time do we have? Oh, it's already 2 hours. So I want to at least show you one little thing, that you have a skill set of learning shapes. So let me grab a reference. Let me grab a reference. Okay, now let's do something simple. So let's take something like huts or something which is not too complicated. I would also recommend, if you do that, go for something more simplistic. This is nice. Okay. Now so you can basically choose whatever shape you want to. So you can take the thing you studied, you can take a reference image, or you can also take negative space of something. Does this work? I think so. So what I want is this here. So we are taking the negative space from our cat statue. We are going to balance that out. So right now it's not working well, but we can balance it out. And we want to make just some sort of hut design. While just using what we have here, basically just want to show you that if the main shape is so well designed that you could even take the negative shape What is that? Christmas music? What the hell? Sorry, Harrisella, but your playlist really is not good. If anyone can recommend good stream beat music, please let me know. Oh, no, not this song again. Really trouble finding good stream beat music. Oh yeah, Looking at Your Silhouette. That's the right song for us. Okay. Okay, and now that we balance it out. So balancing out means that if you look at the image on the left, we try to make sure that the shape we have here is not falling over. So it is well balanced. There's a good active side, a passive side. There's a clear flow in there. So let's say they need to build their huts above the ground because there's some sort of like toxic pollution or something toxic in the ground. So let's do it also the quick way. We are going to take the photo here, because if I'm going to draw this now, it will take much longer. So let's take this. Let's make this a bit brighter. Now let's try to
when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away. We feel betrayed.
maybe some of this. Let's also do it in grayscale. You can basically try to put things inside. Maybe let's quickly do a drawing inside of it. So, and again, when we do the drawing, think about what we did here with the cat. Okay, we want to make nice shapes, but we also want to incorporate now something that could be possible working, like using certain materials, something that is here in the real world. So let's maybe think about okay. Of course, we need to make sure that it fits the purpose. So if, like, that's why I took the roof out, because an upside down roof makes not so much sense. And let's just try to this could be nice. Now let's go out, adjust this a bit more. Let's say this strong triangle shape here will be the roof. So there is the roof. Then we have support structure, so could be something like this here. So maybe like this. So just going to the roof. Support structure. Then there's of course the question, how do they come into the building? So it's always something interesting to think about. Then maybe also like the purpose of the building. Maybe there's some sort of water tank here. And I'm just roughly thinking about functionality, but I'm first only do shapes. Does not need to work right now. It's just about shapes. At least I need to figure out what is what. Also, the whole shape is still a little bit unbalanced, so we need to make sure that it's at least stable now. Or they maybe have some sort of like build some sort of support ropes. Or maybe something more solid. Now I'm looking at the negative shape, so I want to make it more round. Maybe here's a living area. So let's repeat this shape. So here's maybe the shape again. Another roof. So let's say it's a giant building. And again, we want to make conscious decision about our shapes. And if you're unsure, go for the simple version. So let's try it again then. Let's not take this one, take this one. Hey ARTSTATION, how's it going? So let's compress this a bit more. Wow, that's too much. Maybe something like this. A bit more abstract. You're welcome, you're welcome. That's what the server is for. I'm glad it was helpful. I hope it was a good end result for you at the end. Now the fun starts happened. Like, this is basically the starting point of it, and now you want to actually make something out of it, right? Like, now it's still too abstract, and now we can think about, okay, how can we now communicate that this is basically some sort of hut or living area, right? So we could try a lot of different things. For example, like just adding these things on top. And then the cool thing is that we have this shape, and you see that this is so abstract, but we are trying to, we basically just try to find some sort of starting point, and we used the negative shape of a completely different shape. And when the shapes in general are working, then you can basically do whatever you want out of it, and it's just fun exploration. Of course, look for stability, and it's about balancing out shapes. We want to explore stuff. We want to find things we don't know yet. That's what we want. Crazier the better. It should be stable, so it should look like it's not falling apart or it's not breaking. But again, we make conscious decisions on where's what. If you ever ask yourself how they design stuff like in Elden Ring, those crazy monsters, crazy bosses, crazy shape-looking stuff, that's how they do it. They push and stretch stuff as far as possible just to see what looks nice, and at the end, if the shape is working, hey. Okay. Let's turn this one off. Let's duplicate this one. Of course, depending on the scale, you have to adjust that. Yes. Yes, this will stay on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, that's the only way to manage complex tasks. And I understand if the stuff is really daunting in the beginning. Just keep at it, man. Oh girl, I'm sorry if I don't know if you're male or female. But yeah, let's quickly push this one here to the finish. At least to something that it looks like could be a hut. A guy you guess? You unsure? So that's really the approach of when you design something, when you try to figure things out. Of course, form follows function, things have to make sense, totally get that. But the main topic for today really is think about the shapes, think about everything we spoke about. I don't want to repeat it again and again. I think most of you got it. But this is really the key parts. Yeah. And personally, I love this process. I could do this all day. Actually, doing crazy shapes and then trying to make something out of this. This is for me the most creative part. And this is super important. And unfortunately, not a lot of people doing it. But this is actually design, concept art, and not doing landscape paintings all day. Like actually doing design work. Okay, I'm gonna do shadows quick again. And we just do a simple cast shadow here. A simple light situation from above. So it's a bit quicker. Oh, what is happening? Oh, no. And you can always improve the shape, of course. You will see that, like you can work on that more and more and more. And then at a certain point you start to add function, you start to add more things. Now let's just group this and keep it. So we have it on one layer. Now let's go back and work on the silhouette. Because that's what we're here for. So we use this reference here to communicate, okay, these are some sort of huts. And these huts also have this type of stair rhythm when it comes to the seating here. We can use the values of the things we dashed in here. Please let me know if you have any questions about this topic. Now is your chance. If there's anything you want to know, anything which is unclear, which I maybe forgot, can be. If not, if you watch this later, just write it in the comments. I read every single comment. And I highly appreciate every single support from every one of you. Okay, now we can add also some support beams in here to make it a little bit more believable that it's basically some sort of something that could be built, right? Because we cannot make it too abstract. Otherwise, like your art director or your boss will say like, that looks nice, but you can't do that. This is impossible. This is impossible. This is concept art. Have you seen this different language versions of This is Sparta? This is so fun. This is so funny. the difference of the French version and the English version. The French version sounds so friendly. So now we add the support beams. Of course we don't want to kill our shape here, right? So all the support beams also need to have some sort of strong shape. And if you don't know how to do that, just look at reference and call other structures built. Ah, you found the video right when you turned 23? That's funny. That's destiny, I would say. That's destiny. Also, time flies by. To be honest, I never had expectation for myself when I started this journey. I did not expect it anything. I just knew I wanted to do it, and I just did it. And I also want to say, if there's anyone in your life who's telling you you're not good or you can't do it, do not listen to that. Because if you would listen to stuff that other people say, you will never achieve the things you really want. And I would definitely not be sitting here today if I would do. That's the good thing if you're a freaking sturdy motherfucker. Or I just did said motherfucker. Sorry. So let's say maybe this is too much fun. Too much fun. Just thinking about how do they enter this building. Make this basic. does it build on me? See you tomorrow, Said. Everyone. I can use this one. Actually, I want to try something different. Maybe. What would be if it would be some sort of like super light build and it would be on water? And then it's this material here. Kinda interesting. Oh no! Scaling, what is up to you? You failed me. Just merge. And you see what we did. So we took the negative shape of this thing here, of this cat statue. We took it and made something completely out of that. We didn't even took the main shape. So I hope that you understood that mean on the opposite side, that if the shape is solid, you can do whatever you want with it. That's why, like these warm-up stuff where you do faces or whatever, this is helping you when you understand that principle, what you need. So again, I just repeated for last time, confident strokes. So do either CSI lines or go for solid shapes, triangles, sphere, or square shapes. Look at active and passive side and make sure that you do shapes with confidence. Okay? And then you can take whatever. You can take the negative space of whatever. You know, we can only take the upper part of this object or the lower part of this object. We can combine everything to basically do whatever we want. And this is really the fun part. This is the cool thing. It's really what it's all about. And please, if you're still here, and if you haven't, make sure to hit this thumbs up button so the video gets shared with more people. More people can learn. So I hope you all get the idea what I wanted to show you today. Yes, I do know them. I really like the music. Why? Ah, for streaming music. Is it free? Is it license free? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the suggestion. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I don't know. This could be whatever. Could be a place where the main character is meeting a trader or something, going for trading or what do you think? Did you understood everything? Does it make sense? Because otherwise I would say we call it a day, because I think it was a very productive stream. And yeah, the stream will definitely stay on YouTube. And to be honest, I could work on this thing here now for hours because I start to lose myself. And we even give the guy the same shape. Oh no, that's stupid. And that could be a boat here or something. I don't know. Okay. Any more questions?
Should I be scared? The feeling's so different now. You got me floating here, a feather in the air. Oh, but when the wind blows, will I tumble or sail away? Or would you have
All right, doesn't seem that way. Okay, I would say let's call it a stream. I hope you could learn something today. I hope you like the stream, and I hope to see you all in the next stream next week. All right. So good luck with your shapes, and was a lot of fun again. And see you soon.